In the vast tapestry of creation, where stars are born and worlds take shape, lies a delicate equilibrium, a cosmic balance that governs the fabric of existence. This balance, ancient and awe-inspiring, was overseen by the Titans, majestic beings of unfathomable power and wisdom. These colossal entities traversed the universe, their purpose singular and unyielding, to bring order from chaos, to sculpt worlds into harmonious realms where life could flourish. The Titans, led by the Pantheon, each bore unique gifts and responsibilities. Aman'Thul, the High Father, wielded time itself, weaving the strands of destiny with precision. Eonar, the Life-Binder, nurtured life, her essence a wellspring of creation. Sargeras, the Shaper, forged the very continents, his hands crafting mountains and valleys with unparalleled artistry. Norgannon, the Dreamweaver, was the keeper of knowledge and secrets, his mind a vault of infinite wisdom. Lastly, there was Sargeras, the Defender, once the noble champion of the Pantheon, entrusted with the protection of the universe from the dark entities that lurked beyond the stars. Amidst this celestial order, a shadowy realm existed, a chaotic dimension of raw, untamed energies. This was the twisting nether, a place where the laws of reality bent and twisted, a breeding ground for malevolent forces and arcane horrors. It was here that the Titans' greatest adversaries resided, the demons, entities of pure malevolence, driven by a hunger for destruction. Sargeras, the ever-vigilant protector, stood as the bulwark against these infernal beings. For millennia, he waged a tireless war against the demon hordes, purging them from the universe in a ceaseless battle of light against darkness. Yet as he delved deeper into the chaotic heart of the twisting nether, he witnessed horrors that would challenge the very core of his being. The demons he encountered were not mere brutes, but cunning and driven by an insidious purpose. Their whispers spoke of a universe reshaped by chaos, a vision that gnawed at Sargeras' resolve. He began to see order as a fragile illusion, a mere veneer over a seething cauldron of entropy. These revelations sowed seeds of doubt, corroding his faith in the Titans' mission and the cosmic order they sought to uphold. As his doubts deepened, so too did his fascination with the dark energies of the Nether. The very essence of chaos became a siren's call, seducing him with its promise of power, unbounded by the constraints of order and harmony. And thus, a struggle began within Sargeras, a conflict that would ultimately reshape the destiny of all existence. As Sargeras wrestled with his internal turmoil, the twisting nether itself seemed to echo his growing dissonance, a vast expanse of chaotic magic that defied the order he once revered. In this tumultuous realm, he found beings of unspeakable malevolence, creatures born of chaos and shadow, the demons. These entities, born from the very fabric of the nether, thrived on destruction and corruption. Their mere presence was a blasphemy against the order the Titans sought to impose. Yet for Sargeras, they represented a raw, untapped power, a force that could either annihilate or dominate. Driven by a desire to understand the true nature of the universe, and perhaps even to control it, Sargeras began to question the rigidity of the Pantheon's methods. Was it right to impose order upon a universe so intrinsically chaotic? Was it even possible? These questions gnawed at him, eroding the foundations of his once unshakable beliefs. As his understanding of the cosmos deepened, so too did his despair. He saw the universe as a place of perpetual conflict, a battleground where creation was in constant jeopardy from forces beyond comprehension. The Titans, in their quest for perfection, seemed blind to the true nature of existence, and Sargeras began to view their mission as not only futile, but dangerously naive. In the depths of his anguish, Sargeras' resolve hardened. He came to a chilling conclusion. The only way to save the universe was through the annihilation of its flawed creation. Order, he decided, was a cage, and true freedom lay in embracing the chaos and destruction he once sought to quell. The demons, with their insatiable hunger for devastation, became his allies in this grim vision. They were tools, instruments of a cleansing fire that would sweep across the cosmos, purging it of its inherent corruption and imperfection. Thus, Sargeras, the champion of the Titans, became their greatest adversary. The first seeds of the burning legion were sown in his heart, born of despair and a twisted sense of salvation. As he descended into madness, the foundations of the cosmic balance trembled, setting the stage for a conflict that would reverberate across the fabric of reality itself. With this fateful decision, Sargeras stood poised to unleash a cataclysm upon the universe, a dark crusade that would challenge the very essence of creation. The Burning Legion was no longer a mere concept. It was a looming storm on the horizon, its fury boundless, its purpose driven by the will of a fallen titan. In the annals of cosmic history, few tales are as compelling as that of Sargeras, once the revered champion of the Pantheon. His journey from an exalted guardian to the harbinger of the Burning Legion is a saga of transformation, ambition, and inevitable tragedy. To understand Sargeras' fall, one must first comprehend the grandeur of his initial purpose. As a titan, Sargeras was tasked with a mission unlike any other, a quest to confront and contain the malevolent entities that threatened the order the Titans so meticulously crafted across the cosmos. Sargeras stood as a paragon of might and justice, an embodiment of the Pantheon's will. His duties often brought him into direct confrontation with the myriad horrors spawned from the chaotic energies of the twisting nether. It was a realm where the very fabric of reality warped and twisted, giving birth to nightmarish creatures bent on destruction. Sargeras wielded his blade of purest flame, cleaving through the darkness with an unyielding resolve. His victories against the demonic hordes were celebrated among the Titans, and his name became synonymous with valor and strength. Yet as the centuries stretched into millennia, the champion of the Pantheon found himself ensnared by the very forces he sought to vanquish. The battles he fought were ceaseless, the legions of hellish adversaries unending. Each victory seemed hollow, a temporary reprieve in an eternal struggle. Sargeras, once steadfast in his mission, began to perceive the futility in attempting to impose order upon a universe perpetually teetering on the brink of chaos. The seeds of doubt took root within him, nurtured by the seductive whispers of the void. As doubts festered, Sargeras' once clear vision of cosmic balance dimmed, clouded by his newfound belief that the Titan's mission was inherently flawed. The corruption of worlds, the cyclical nature of creation and destruction, seemed an insurmountable cycle. In his disillusionment, Sargeras became convinced that the only solution lay not in preservation, but in purgation. He envisioned a radical cleansing, a fiery rebirth that would scour the universe of its imperfections. This grim vision was not born out of malice, but a twisted sense of necessity, a belief that only through annihilation could a new, purer order emerge. Haunted by this revelation, Sargeras sought fellowship among the very entities he had once condemned. The demons of the twisting nether, long his adversaries, now became his allies. These chaotic beings, driven by their own lust for destruction, found in Sargeras a leader who shared their disdain for the existing cosmic order. Together, they forged an unholy alliance, one that would come to be known as the Burning Legion. With Sargeras at its helm, the Legion was not merely a force of annihilation, but a harbinger of a new vision for the universe. Yet even as these dark alliances solidified, a darker purpose began to take shape, one that would rend the very fabric of reality. Sargeras, once a paragon of justice and balance, had embraced a nihilistic philosophy, a belief that the universe itself was inherently flawed and corrupt. In his eyes, the only path to true peace was through destruction and rebirth, a cleansing fire that would sweep away the imperfections of existence. To achieve his grim vision, Sargeras sought to harness the boundless energies of the twisting nether, a realm where the laws of reality were mutable and fluid. He envisioned a legion capable of unleashing these chaotic forces across the cosmos, reshaping worlds in their fiery image and purging them of what he deemed as blemishes. Under Sargeras' tyrannical guidance, the Burning Legion became a terrifying engine of devastation, its demonic legions growing in power and number. Sargeras' new purpose was to locate and subjugate worlds with nascent life, to extinguish the very essence of creation that the Titans had once so fervently nurtured. He would strike at the heart of these burgeoning worlds, unleashing the Legion in a storm of fire and shadow, leaving nothing but ash in its wake. This scorched earth policy was not merely an act of destruction, but a form of twisted salvation, as Sargeras believed that only through annihilation could the universe be reborn into a purer form. The Burning Legion's assault on reality was relentless, and as its influence spread, whispers of its dread power began to echo across the cosmos. Many worlds fell under its shadow, their inhabitants either consumed by the Legion's dark magic or enslaved to its will. The very stars themselves seemed to dim in the presence of such malevolent might, casting a pall over the universe that once gleamed with the promise of life. Within the twisting nether, Sargeras' newfound allies, a horde of demonic generals and lieutenants, vied for his favor, each eager to prove their worth in the service of his apocalyptic mission. It was among these vile creatures that Sargeras found his most loyal servants, those who would carry out his will with unwavering zeal. Under his command, these demons became the spearhead of the Legion's campaigns, leading the charge into realms that had once been untouched by darkness. Yet even as Sargeras' power grew, so too did the opposition to his nightmarish crusade. Throughout the cosmos, whispers of resistance began to stir. The forces of light and order, though scattered and disparate, recognized the existential threat posed by the Burning Legion. They would not stand idly by as their worlds were consumed by fire. Thus, as the Burning Legion's blackened shadow spread ever wider, the stage was set for a cosmic conflict of unimaginable proportions, a conflict that would see the very heavens tremble, and the fate of all existence hang precariously in the balance. With Sargeras at its helm, the Burning Legion was poised to become the greatest threat the universe had ever faced, and its legacy of destruction was only just beginning. Amidst the tempest of cosmic upheaval orchestrated by Sargeras, a dark secret languished within the shadowy folds of the twisting nether. It was a secret that would soon be revealed, leading to a revelation that would forever alter the trajectory of the Burning Legion's insatiable quest for dominion. This secret was the Nathrazim, a race of demonic beings known as the Dreadlords. Their cunning and malevolence had been whispered of in dark corners, yet their true nature and the scope of their influence remained shrouded in mystery. The Nathrazim were not mere pawns in the game of interstellar conquest. They were the architects of deceit, capable of bending reality to their whims. These Dreadlords possessed ancient knowledge that transcended mortal understanding, enabling them to infiltrate the minds of their enemies and sow discord with unsettling precision. Their mastery over manipulation and subterfuge had long been a tool of the demonic hordes, but it was their corruption that truly set them apart from their infernal kin. In the heart of the Nether, where chaos reigned supreme, the Nathrazim had discovered an enigmatic force, one that flowed through the very fabric of the universe. It was a form of dark energy, a corruption that could twist the essence of life itself, transforming it into a conduit of darkness. The Dreadlords, with their insatiable thirst for power, had tapped into this malevolent force, allowing it to seep into their very souls. This corruption granted them unparalleled power, but it also came at a cost, a binding allegiance to the shadows that consumed them. This newfound power did not go unnoticed by Sargeras. The Nathrazim, with their sinister potential and mastery over corruption, represented an invaluable asset in his grand design. Their ability to manipulate and control made them the perfect instruments of his will, capable of enacting his vision of a universe reborn from the ashes of the old. Yet, with such power came danger. The Nathrazim's loyalty was as tenuous as the threads of fate itself, and their motives were ever shifting. concealed behind a veil of deception. As Sargeras delved deeper into the mysteries of the Nathrezim, he discovered their role as harbingers of doom, whispered legends of their involvement in the fall of countless civilizations. They were heralds of annihilation, their presence a precursor to the extinguishing of light and the rise of darkness. This revelation only served to solidify their place within the hierarchy of the Burning Legion, elevating them to positions of unparalleled influence and authority. But beneath this surface alliance, the Nathrezim harbored secrets of their own, an agenda that thrived in the shadows, away from the prying eyes of even their formidable master. The Nathrezim, known to some as dreadlords, were masters of manipulation and deceit, their cunning unmatched across the myriad realms they traversed. Unlike other denizens of the Burning Legion, whose power lay in brute force or terrifying sorcery, the Nathrezim excelled in subterfuge, bending the wills of others to their own dark purposes. Their minds were labyrinths of conniving thought, each turning a gear in an intricate machine designed to sow discord and despair. In truth, the Dreadlords pursued their own twisted agenda, a path that diverged from the fiery vision of Sargeras. They were not content to simply conquer and destroy. They sought to corrupt, to weave a tapestry of chaos that would endure far beyond mere annihilation. Their insidious talents allowed them to infiltrate the hearts of civilizations, turning allies against one another and unraveling the fabric of society from within. In their wake, they left worlds not just in ruins, but in turmoil, their populations enslaved by madness and betrayal. Among their ranks, there were some whose ambitions soared even higher. Tichondrius, the Darkener, stood as the preeminent figure among them, his intellect and ruthlessness earning him a place of prominence. He spearheaded many of the Legion's most cunning stratagems, his mind a cauldron of dark schemes. His influence was felt across the cosmos, his touch leaving a stain that even the light struggled to cleanse. The Nathrezim's duplicity extended even to their master. While they served the Burning Legion's cause, their allegiance was a complex web of half-truths and concealed motives. They saw themselves as the true architects of chaos, their vision stretching beyond the cataclysmic dreams of Sargeras. In their shadowy councils, they whispered of a future where their kind reigned supreme, where the universe itself would bow to their machinations. As the Burning Legion's conquests expanded, so too did the Nathrezim's influence. They infiltrated the highest echelons of power, their presence marking the downfall of empires. Their mastery of manipulation allowed them to twist even the noblest of intentions, turning heroes into villains and sowing distrust among the ranks of those who opposed them. The Dreadlord's cunning was their greatest weapon, a blade that cut deeper than any sword. Yet, as their power grew, so did the potential for treachery. The Nathrezim were acutely aware of the precarious nature of their position within the Legion. They walked a tightrope strung between loyalty and ambition, ever mindful of the consequences should their true intentions be laid bare. Their existence was a delicate dance, each step calculated to maintain the illusion of fealty while pursuing their own dark designs. In the vast tapestry of the Burning Legion's saga, the Nathrezim were both weavers and threads. Their influence was subtle yet profound, shaping the fate of worlds in ways that even the mightiest could scarcely comprehend. As the fires of the Legion's conquest spread, the Dreadlords remained ever watchful, their eyes fixed on a horizon only they could see, where their ultimate destiny awaited. Thus, the Nathrezim's legacy was one of shadows and intrigue, a tale of corruption that would echo through the corridors of time. In the vast tapestry of existence, few tales echo with the resonance of Sargeras's tragic fall. Once a venerated champion, his journey into darkness was neither swift nor simple. It was a slow, insidious descent, akin to the creeping shadow that swallows the light of day. Each step taken by Sargeras further distanced him from his celestial brethren, his vision clouded by the dark allure of chaos and destruction. As Sargeras delved deeper into the twisting nether, The realm's chaotic energies began to weave their influence upon him. This was a place where the laws of nature and order held no sway, where time and space bent to the whims of malevolent forces. Here, Sargeras found himself at the center of a maelstrom of power and corruption. The whispers of the Nether seeped into his very essence, seducing him with promises of ultimate power and freedom from the constraints of the cosmic order. In this tumultuous realm, Sargeras encountered the Nathrezim, masters of deception and manipulation. These dreadlords, with their shadowy machinations and ancient knowledge, became his confidants and advisors. They spoke of a universe ripe for reformation, of worlds that could be remade in his image. Their cunning words planted seeds of doubt in his mind, nurturing his burgeoning belief that destruction was merely a precursor to creation. The Nathrezim, with their veiled ambitions, played a pivotal role in Sargeras's transformation. Their allegiance to the shadows resonated with his own growing darkness, and their counsel steered him further from the light of the Pantheon. Sargeras's internal struggle was mirrored in the cosmic upheaval he orchestrated. His once unyielding resolve was now a battleground of conflicting ideologies. The Titan, who had once stood as the universe's guardian, began to question whether the Pantheon's ideals were worth preserving. He saw the demons of the twisting Nether not as mindless beasts, but as potential allies in his quest to reshape reality. This radical shift in perspective marked a turning point in Sargeras's descent. The very essence of the universe trembled at the thought of its protector becoming its greatest threat. As he embraced his newfound philosophy, Sargeras's vision expanded beyond the confines of his original mandate. No longer content with mere defense against chaos, he sought to impose his own order upon the cosmos. His growing ambition knew no bounds, and his plans became ever more grandiose. In his mind, the fires of annihilation were not a destructive force, but a purifying flame that would cleanse the universe of its imperfections. Yet amid this burgeoning vision of cosmic rebirth, a lingering shadow remained, a whisper of doubt that would ultimately lead Sargeras deeper into madness. This shadow was a spectre that lurked within the recesses of his once noble heart, a voice that questioned whether his path was righteous or merely a descent into tyranny. Yet the echo of his former self was drowned by the cacophony of his new convictions. Sargeras could not abide a universe that persisted in its chaotic dance without his guiding hand. In this twisted perception of order, Sargeras found willing acolytes among the most vile denizens of the cosmos. His charisma, once a beacon of hope, now drew creatures of darkness to his cause. These were beings who thrived on chaos and destruction, whose very nature resonated with the infernal vision Sargeras now embraced. Among them were the Eredar, a race of powerful sorcerers who were fascinated by the promise of limitless power and knowledge that Sargeras offered. Kil'jaeden and Archimonde, leaders among the Eredar, were seduced by the allure of the Burning Legion. To them, Sargeras was not a fallen titan, but a visionary with the power to shape reality itself. They pledged their allegiance to him, and in return, Sargeras bestowed upon them unimaginable power, transforming them into demonic lords of the Legion. This unholy pact marked a new chapter in the Legion's expansion, as the Eredar brought their formidable intellect and sorcery to bear in corrupting and conquering worlds. However, the transformation of the Eredar was not just a tale of ambition and power. It was a grim reminder of the seductive nature of Sargeras's vision. His promise to the Eredar was the same promise he made to himself: a universe cleansed of weakness, where only the strong and the cunning would survive. Yet, as the Legion grew in might, the cosmos trembled under the weight of its relentless march. Sargeras's descent into madness was not an isolated act of defiance against his former brethren, but a cataclysm that rippled through the very fabric of existence. The Pantheon, once united in their stewardship of the universe, now faced a foe born from their own ranks. Sargeras had transformed from a defender of creation into its most potent adversary, a force of annihilation that threatened to unravel all that the Titans had worked to build. The Burning Legion, fueled by the twisted ambitions of its Dark Master, became a juggernaut of devastation, its influence spreading like a blight across the stars. Worlds fell. Civilizations crumbled, and the balance of the cosmos hung by a thread. In Sargeras, the universe had found its doom. A Titan who had forsaken his duty to protect, choosing instead to dominate and destroy. Yet, even as the darkness spread, there flickered a hope that somewhere amidst the chaos, a force would rise to challenge Sargeras and his legion. A force that would seek to restore the balance that he had so ruthlessly shattered. But that tale of resistance and redemption is one that awaits in the shadows of destiny, waiting to be unveiled in the chronicles yet to come. The universe trembled as the Burning Legion emerged from the shadows, a force of unimaginable terror led by the once noble Titan, Sargeras. Within the heart of this infernal crusade lay the seeds of an unholy vision, a vision that sought to unravel the very fabric of existence. The legions of demons, bound to their master's fiery will, were not simply harbingers of chaos. They were instruments of a grander scheme, a dark symphony orchestrated to bring about unending destruction. It was a vision that transcended mere conquest. It was the reshaping of reality itself. Sargeras, now the fallen Titan, yearned to purge the universe of perceived imperfections. In his eyes, the cosmos thrived on delicate balance, a balance that, if disrupted, would crumble into nothingness. To avert this catastrophe, he believed in the necessity of a cleansing fire, one that would burn away the flaws and impurities of creation, allowing for a new dawn. Sargeras' ambition knew no bounds, and his unholy crusade required allies of unparalleled might. Among the first to heed his call were the Manari Eredar, beings of immense power and intellect. Yet, among them, Kil'jaeden and Archimonde rose to prominence, seduced by Sargeras' promises of power and dominion. These once noble beings were transformed into harbingers of doom, their wills subjugated to Sargeras' infernal purpose. With the Eredar's allegiance, the Legion's ranks swelled, and their influence spread across countless worlds, leaving devastation in their wake. However, it was not just power that drew these entities to Sargeras' cause. It was the promise of rebirth through annihilation, a chance to remake the universe in an image free from the constraints of the Pantheon. As the Legion's terrifying march continued, entire civilizations were faced with ruin. Worlds trembled under the weight of their unstoppable advance, as the Legion's shadow loomed ever larger, threatening to engulf all that lay before it. The twisting nether, that chaotic realm where the Legion thrived, became a crucible of transformation. Here, even the most virtuous beings could be twisted into monstrosities of unimaginable power. The cosmic forge of the nether birthed creatures of nightmare, beings that would serve as the Legion's vanguard in its relentless campaign. These immortal soldiers, forged in the fires of the nether, were bound by their master's will, their very essence intertwined with the infernal energies that sustained them. Yet amid this escalating tide of darkness, there existed whispers of resistance, faint echoes of hope that dared to challenge the Legion's dominion. It was a hope that flickered like a candle in a storm, fragile and easily snuffed out. But even the smallest light could cast long shadows, and in those shadows, the seeds of defiance were sown. As the universe held its breath, the stage was set for a conflict that would determine the fate of all creation. In the vast tapestry of existence, threads of rebellion began to weave themselves in response to the Burning Legion's onslaught. The universe, though battered by the inferno of Sargeras' ambitions, harbored ancient secrets and resilient souls that refused to succumb. Across myriad worlds, champions arose, forging alliances in the face of annihilation. These defenders of creation, driven by a primal need to protect their worlds, became the bulwark against the Legion's tide. Among them were the Draenei, a refugee people who had once been kin to the Eredar before their fall into darkness. Led by the wise and steadfast prophet Velen, they fled their corrupted brethren, seeking sanctuary from the consuming shadows. Their journey through the stars was fraught with peril, yet their faith in the light, the cosmic force of purity and hope, sustained them. Velen's visions illuminated paths through the darkness, offering glimpses of possible salvation and urging his people to stand firm against despair. In the far reaches of the cosmos, the Naru, beings of pure light, took notice of the spreading darkness. These celestial entities, timeless and serene, understood the gravity of the threat posed by the burning Legion. They extended their luminous hands to those who would stand against the darkness, offering guidance and protection. The Naru became beacons in the night, their presence igniting the hearts of the righteous and the brave. Yet it was not only the power of the light that opposed the Legion. The ancient forces of nature, too, stirred from their slumber. Elemental spirits, bonded to the worlds they inhabited, rose to defend their domains. In their fury, the earth trembled, the skies roared, and the very seas boiled. The primal forces of creation, though often chaotic and unpredictable, recognized the threat to their existence and were drawn into the struggle. In the face of such diverse opposition, the Burning Legion's campaign of terror encountered unexpected resistance. The universe was not as defenseless as Sargeras might have believed. It was a living tapestry of wills, each thread adding strength to the whole. Though the Legion wielded power beyond comprehension, the resilience of life and the indomitable spirit of those who dared to defy darkness presented a formidable challenge. As the cosmos prepared for the battles to come, the stage was set for an epic confrontation. The forces of light and darkness, of creation and destruction, were poised on the brink of a war that would echo through the ages. The outcome would not only determine the fate of worlds, but would test the strength of hope against the consuming fires of despair. In this crucible of conflict, heroes would rise, destinies would be forged, and the legacy of the Burning Legion would be written in the annals of time. In the shadowed depths of the twisting nether, the Burning Legion was not merely an assembly of demons. It was a forge of darkness where ancient pacts bound disparate entities into a singular, cataclysmic force. With Sargeras at its helm, the Legion became an apocalyptic machine, ever hungry for conquest and destruction. But to truly realize his vision of a purified cosmos, Sargeras required more than raw power. He needed a legion of unparalleled might, bound by oaths of unyielding loyalty. Thus, the forging of the Burning Legion began, a process of dark alchemies and sinister bargains. At its core lay a blasphemous covenant, a union of disparate demonkind, each race bringing unique malevolence and arcane prowess. From the fiery heart of the Nether emerged the Pit Lords, colossal behemoths whose strength was matched only by their brutality. Among them, Manaroth and Magtheridon rose to prominence, their savagery epitomizing the Legion's relentless thirst for annihilation. Yet physical might alone was insufficient. Sargeras sought out the cunning and strategic brilliance of the Dreadlords, the Nathrezim, who had proven their worth in the art of subterfuge and manipulation. Their dark gifts were manifold, capable of twisting the minds of mortals and sowing discord among even the most stalwart defenders of the light. The Dreadlords, with Tichondrius and Anetheron at the forefront, were the architects of chaos, their machinations setting worlds ablaze from within. Amidst these ranks marched the Felguards and Fellhunters, foot soldiers of the Legion, their loyalty enforced by the pervasive will of Sargeras. These beings were not mere thralls, but instruments of wrath, each one a tool for the Legion's dark purpose. They were forged in the fires of the twisting nether, where the energies of chaos and corruption melded with flesh, creating soldiers for a war unending. Sargeras' vision extended beyond the mere amalgamation of demon races. To ensure the Legion's supremacy, He needed commanders with intellect akin to his own, capable of executing his grand designs across the myriad worlds of existence. Thus, he turned his gaze upon the Eredar, a people of unrivaled magical prowess. The transformation of Kil'jaeden and Archimonde into demonic overlords had merely been the beginning. Now, Sargeras sought to expand his ranks with further Eredar, those who would willingly embrace the dark gifts he offered in exchange for power beyond imagining. The forging of the Burning Legion was not limited to the recruitment of existing malevolent entities. Sargeras, with his mastery over fell energies, experimented with the very fabric of life and death, crafting new horrors to serve his will. From the chaotic storms of the Nether, he summoned the Infernals, living meteors that crashed into worlds, leaving trails of destruction in their wake. Each Infernal was a testament to the Legion's destructive capacity, a manifestation of Sargeras' own fiery rage. Yet this grand construction of darkness was not without its internal strife. Ambitions clashed, and rivalries simmered beneath the surface. The Dreadlords, ever cunning and opportunistic, harbored their own desires, whispering of plans that stretched beyond even Sargeras' grand vision. The Pit Lords, with their unbridled might, often sought to assert their dominance, challenging the hierarchy within the Legion. In this cauldron of ambition and power, the Burning Legion festered with visions of conquest, each demon and dark force driven by its own insatiable quest for power. From the shadowy corners of the twisting Nether, demonic lords emerged, each one eager to carve their own legacy in the chaos Sargeras had unleashed. Balnazar, Mephistroth, and Anetheron, dreadlords of notable cunning, schemed tirelessly, their machinations weaving a tapestry of corruption and betrayal across the cosmos. These masters of deceit played their games with an eye on the throne of power, manipulating events to serve their inscrutable ends. Among these fiends, the Pit Lords, led by the fearsome Manaroth, stood as towering behemoths of destruction. Their brute force was matched only by their fierce loyalty to the Legion's cause, though Manaroth's own ambitions often brought him into conflict with the Dreadlords. These titanic creatures reveled in battle, their presence enough to strike terror into the hearts of the bravest warriors. Wherever they marched, devastation followed, leaving worlds smoldering in their wake. And yet, the Legion's strength lay not just in its destructive might, but in its subtlety and guile. The warlocks and sorcerers who flocked to Sargeras' banner wielded powers of fiel and shadow, twisting reality with incantations that could shatter the fabric of worlds. These dark magicians, drawn from countless realms, blended their arts with the Legion's infernal technology, crafting war engines and obelisks of unimaginable power. Their sorcery was the glue that bound the Legion's brute strength with its cunning, creating a force unlike any the universe had seen. Within this maelstrom of ambition and power, Sargeras' vision expanded beyond mere conquest. He sought the ultimate obliteration, a cosmic cleansing that would pave the way for a new order. Yet not all his followers shared this apocalyptic vision. Some sought personal glory, others the thrill of the hunt, and a few even harbored the hope of eclipsing Sargeras himself. In this dark symphony, the Legion's followers were both instruments and composers, each note a harbinger of doom, each chord a declaration of their master's will. Through this intricate web of alliances and rivalries, the true horror of the Legion was realized. It was a force bound not by loyalty, but by the shared lust for power and destruction. This was the ethos that Sargeras had unleashed upon the cosmos, a dark brotherhood where betrayal was as common as breath, and ambition was both a weapon and a curse. Thus, the Burning Legion, forged in the fires of ambition and conflict, prepared to unleash its full fury. As its shadow stretched across the stars, the universe braced for the cataclysm that would follow. And so, the stage was set for the next great epoch of cosmic struggle where the fate of countless worlds would hang in the balance, awaiting the inevitable clash between light and darkness. The once glorious Pantheon, architects of order in the cosmos, found themselves on the precipice of an unimaginable betrayal. Sargeras, the titan who had been their staunchest defender, now stood poised to unleash a storm of ruin upon those he once called brethren. The Pantheon, unaware of the full extent of Sargeras's metamorphosis, still viewed him as an essential part of their cosmic family. But within Sargeras brewed a tempest of doubt, a conviction that their collective mission was misguided, a belief that festered into a plan of cosmic insurrection. Driven by his newfound philosophy of annihilation and rebirth, Sargeras no longer saw himself as a mere guardian, but as a harbinger of a dark yet pure reality. He viewed the Titan's efforts to impose order as a futile attempt to mend a universe inherently flawed. In his eyes, the only true solution lay in the cleansing fire of destruction, a purging so complete that from the ashes a new untainted cosmos could rise. This radical shift in ideology had estranged him from his fellow Titans, whose unwavering dedication to preservation now appeared to him as weakness. The Dreadlords, or Nathrizim, had whispered of the Pantheon's vulnerabilities, sowing seeds of discord that took root in Sargeras' heart. With their counsel, Sargeras began to see the Titans not as allies, but as obstacles to his vision. Their trust in him, built over millennia, became a weapon he would wield against them. As the Titan planned his rebellion, he understood that the strength of the Pantheon lay in their unity. Thus, his strategy had to be one of division and deception, turning their trust into the very tool of their undoing. It was not only his former comrades that Sargeras sought to deceive, but the very fabric of the universe itself. He would cloak his machinations in shadows, manipulating the fates of entire worlds to serve as kindling for his cosmic bonfire. His manipulation extended beyond mere force, entwining with the ambitions of those he brought under his thrall. The Eredar, now transformed into demonic lords under his command, were but the first of many to be ensnared by his promises of power and dominion. Yet, it was the Nathrizim who remained his most insidious allies, their mastery of subterfuge and manipulation providing Sargeras with the means to fracture the Pantheon from within. As Sargeras prepared to enact his betrayal, the echoes of his plans reverberated through the twisting nether, a foreboding prelude to the chaos he intended to unleash. The Pantheon, unknowing of the storm gathering in their midst, continued their mission, oblivious to the growing threat that Sargeras embodied. And so, the stage was set for a confrontation that would not merely threaten the Pantheon, but shake the very foundations of the cosmos itself. In the shadows of his former allegiance, Sargeras wielded his newfound power with a grim determination. This was not merely a betrayal of duty, but a profound reimagining of his purpose. The once revered champion of the Pantheon now stood poised to dismantle the very order he once protected. His resolve was as unyielding as the blade of flame he bore, a symbol of the conflagration he intended to unleash upon creation itself. The Pantheon, in their celestial wisdom, had underestimated the depth of Sargeras' transformation. They saw only glimmers of dissent, mere ripples on the surface of their boundless vision. Yet beneath, Sargeras had become a maelstrom of destruction, a force of unrelenting chaos that sought to redefine the universe in his own twisted image. He embraced the demons of the twisting nether, not just as allies, but as instruments in a grand symphony of annihilation, each chord struck with the intent to unravel the fabric of the cosmos. As the moment of confrontation drew nigh, Sargeras' machinations came to fruition. The Nathrizim, with their insidious cunning, had sown seeds of doubt and discord, their whispers echoing through the halls of the Pantheon. Sargeras had orchestrated a grand tableau of deception, ensuring that when the final act began, the Pantheon would face not only an external threat, but the internal fracturing of their unity. Trust eroded as suspicion took root, an erosion that would prove fatal when the time for reckoning arrived. The battle that ensued was not merely a clash of titanic forces, it was the very embodiment of creation's struggle against destruction. As Sargeras stood against his former kin, the cosmos itself trembled. The heavens wept stardust, and the echoes of their conflict reverberated through the great tapestry of reality. Each blow exchanged was a testament to the Titan's grandeur and Sargeras' relentless fury, a dance of cosmic proportions where each step threatened to unravel eons of harmony. Yet even amidst the chaos of betrayal, hope flickered. The Titans, embodiments of order and celestial wisdom, fought not just to preserve their own existence, but to defend the very essence of life and creation. They brought forth all their might and virtue, seeking to quell the storm that Sargeras had become. It was a struggle not merely for survival, but for the soul of the universe. As the dust of conflict settled, the consequences of Sargeras' betrayal lay bare. Though the Pantheon had weathered the storm, the scars of the encounter ran deep, etched into the very fabric of their being. Their unity, once unassailable, now bore the marks of treachery. Sargeras had succeeded in reshaping the cosmos, not through annihilation, but through the enduring legacy of his defiance. And so, the stage was set for a new era of conflict, an age where the shadows of his betrayal would loom large, casting their pall over the destiny of all creation. In the vast tapestry of the cosmos, where stars themselves bear witness to the endless dance of creation and destruction, the Burning Legion's relentless march began, and its path was marked by the desolate world of Azeroth. This forsaken realm, consumed by eternal shadows, served as both a staging ground and a symbol of the Legion's unyielding ambition. Here, the fiery skies bore testament to the Legion's unholy might, where infernal flames scorched the heavens, and the ground trembled under the weight of demonic legions. Azeroth stood as an embodiment of the Legion's dark promise, a world reshaped into a hellscape where infernal machines churned ceaselessly, fueling the war engines of Sargeras' insatiable crusade. It was here that the Legion's most fearsome steeds, the Fell Steeds, were forged in the crucible of darkness, their fiery hooves echoing the harrowing advance of doom. These creatures, bred for war and destruction, became harbingers of the Legion's presence, carrying its dreadlords and field commanders across the stars. The Legion's ambition knew no bounds. It was an unending hunger that drove them from world to world, leaving nothing but ashes and ruin in their wake. Azeroth, in its corrupted glory, was but one of many worlds that fell before the Legion's might. The stars themselves seemed to dim as the Legion's influence spread, turning worlds into charnel fields, where the screams of the vanquished echoed across time and space. Across the endless expanse of the universe, the Legion's forces grew, bolstered by the pitiless ranks of demons and enslaved souls. Each conquest strengthened their resolve, feeding the insatiable fires of their dark crusade. Under the iron grip of Kil'jaeden and Archimonde, the Legion's commanders orchestrated campaigns of devastation with ruthless precision, each victory a grim testament to the might of their infernal master. Azeroth was but a stepping stone in this grand design, a waypoint in a campaign that sought to subjugate the very fabric of existence. The Legion's legions moved silently through the twisting nether, an ever-growing tide of destruction that threatened to engulf all that dared stand against them. But even as the darkness spread, whispers of resistance flickered like embers in the void, hinting at the possibility of a light that might yet pierce the Legion's oppressive shadow. As the Legion's gaze turned toward new horizons, an ominous silence hung heavy over the worlds left in their wake. Yet among the stars, a growing chorus of defiance began to rise, as those who would oppose this dark tide gathered their strength. The burning question remained: would any force be able to challenge the Burning Legion's seemingly unstoppable march across the universe? With the faint embers of resistance flickering in the distance, the Burning Legion's conquest swelled like a tempest, consuming entire worlds under its relentless advance. The very fabric of the cosmos trembled at their approach, for where the legions set foot, devastation followed. A new chapter of horror unfolded as the legion set its sights on the world of Zoroth, a realm shrouded in mystery and steeped in ancient power. Zoroth, a world of shadows and flame, lay at the heart of the legion's next campaign. Its skies were forever aflame, casting eerie glows upon its jagged landscapes. Here, the legion sought to harness the chaotic energies that ebbed and flowed from the planet's fiery core. These energies promised to bolster their forces, granting them a wellspring of power that could fuel their interstellar crusades. Upon Zoroth's scorched surface, the legion unleashed its fury, laying waste to all that stood before them. Demonic war machines, fueled by the raw energy of the planet, roared across the charred plains, leaving trails of destruction in their wake. The air crackled with the dark incantations of warlocks who sought to bind Zoroth's volatile essences into the legion's service. Yet Zoroth was not a world that would easily surrender to Sargeras' dominion. Its very nature was defiant, a realm where the elemental spirits themselves rose in opposition. Towering fire elementals surged forth, their rage as fiery as the planet's core. They clashed with the legion, unleashing torrents of molten fury upon their demonic adversaries. Amidst the chaos, whispers of rebellion whispered through the shadows. The souls of Zoroth's ancient guardians stirred, awakening from their long slumber to join the fray. These spectral defenders, remnants of a bygone age, took up arms against the invaders. Though their numbers were few, their resolve was unbreakable. As the conflict raged on, a chilling realization dawned upon the burning legion. Not all worlds would be easily conquered. Zoroth's defiance was a testament to the indomitable spirit of the universe, a beacon of hope amidst the legion's dark tide. This world, in its resistance, became a symbol of the potential for opposition that lay dormant across the stars. The struggle for Zoroth was not merely a battle for dominance, but a clash of wills, a cosmic test of endurance and conviction. The Legion's relentless march across the stars faced its first true challenge, and in the fiery crucible of Zoroth, the seeds of rebellion found fertile ground to grow. As the embattled planet stood against the Legion's might, the echoes of its defiance would carry across the cosmos, inspiring others to rise against the darkness. In Zoroth's stand, there lay the promise of a universe that refused to bow to tyranny, a universe that dared to hope that the light might yet prevail against the Legion's shadow. With this clash, the stage was set for the next chapter in the unfolding saga of the Burning Legion, a chapter where the embers of rebellion would kindle into a firestorm of resistance. In the shadowed annals of time, amidst the tumultuous realm where cosmic forces vied for supremacy, Azeroth found itself precariously perched upon the precipice of annihilation. The Burning Legion, an unstoppable force of unholy might, cast its voracious gaze upon this world, a jewel of creation, brimming with untapped potential and guarded by ancient powers. Yet, it was not merely the resources of Azeroth that enticed the Legion, but the planet's very essence, a wellspring of arcane energies that could fuel their dark crusade across the stars. Azeroth, unlike any other world, harbored a nascent titan soul within its core, a being of unimaginable power that, if corrupted, could serve the Legion's insidious aims. The malevolent Sargeras, ever strategic, sought not only to conquer, but to ensnare this embryonic titan, twisting its purpose to align with his vision of cosmic rebirth through destruction. The assault on Azeroth, thus, was not merely a campaign of annihilation, but a diabolical orchestration to bend the world's destiny to a darker path. The ancient Night Elves, stewards of Azeroth's abundant magic, stood as the primary bulwark against this impending doom. Unbeknownst to many, their civilization was intricately bound to the Well of Eternity, a font of incredible arcane energy and potentially the greatest boon or the gravest threat to their world. Its allure was not lost on the Burning Legion, and through the manipulations of Queen Azshara and her highborn, the well became a beacon, drawing the Legion ever closer. Queen Azshara, her heart seduced by promises of power, envisioned a new era under the Legion's dominion, with herself at its zenith. Her ambitions, however, masked the true peril. The Legion's arrival would herald not only the transformation of Azeroth, but its potential ruination. As the Highborn's rituals intensified, the fabric of reality itself began to warp, the boundaries between dimensions thinning under the strain of feral energies unleashed by their reckless arrogance. Amidst the growing chaos, an unlikely resistance formed, driven by the whispers of the ancient demigod Sargeras and the courage of the night elven priestess Tyrande Whisperwind. Rallying the disparate forces of the Kaldore, they sought to stem the tide of darkness that threatened to engulf their world. Their defiance was but a flickering flame against a gathering storm, yet it burned with a fervor that could not easily be quenched. And so, the stage was set for a cataclysmic confrontation, as the Legion marshaled its infernal legions, intent on breaching the heart of Azeroth itself. The sundering of worlds loomed on the horizon, an epoch-defining struggle that would not only determine the fate of Azeroth, but ripple through the very tapestry of existence. The Burning Legion, relentless in its pursuit, sought to exploit the vulnerabilities of Azeroth's denizens. Under the command of their Dark Master, the Legion's agents infiltrated the very fabric of Azerothian societies, sowing discord and mistrust. Foremost among these agents were the insidious Nathrezim, whose mastery of manipulation and deceit was unparalleled. Their whispers twisted the minds of the weak, and their cunning schemes fractured alliances that could have stood against the impending darkness. In these shadowed times, Azeroth's ancient guardians, the enigmatic dragonflights, sensed the disturbance in the cosmic order. They were the custodians of the world, each charged with a sacred duty to maintain balance. Among them, the Bronze Dragonflight, led by the wise Nozdormu, perceived the shifting timelines, foreseeing the chaos that the Legion would unleash. The Red Dragonflight, under the benevolent Alexstrasza, prepared to defend life itself, while the Blue, Green, and Black Flights braced for the coming storm in their own ways, their motives as varied as their scales. Yet the threat of the Burning Legion was not faced by dragons alone. Mortal champions arose, wielding weapons of legendary power, their hearts steeled by the knowledge that failure meant annihilation. These heroes, drawn from every corner of Azeroth, embodied the indomitable spirit of resistance. The Night Elves, ancient and wise, called upon the power of the moon to fortify their lands. The stalwart dwarves, with their unyielding determination, fortified their mountain strongholds. Humans, orcs, and all manner of races set aside their differences in a desperate bid for survival. The Legion unleashed horrors beyond imagination, fell-infused monstrosities that razed cities, infernal engines that belched fires capable of scorching the very earth, and sorceries so vile that reality itself seemed to tremble. Yet with every assault, Azeroth's defenders grew more resolute, their spirits forged like steel in the crucible of war. As the apocalyptic confrontation drew near, the skies darkened with the wings of dragons, the earth trembled with the march of armies, and the air crackled with the energies of magic unleashed. The sundering of worlds was not merely a battle for survival, but a struggle for the soul of Azeroth. It was a testament to the resilience of life, a defiance against the dark will of Sargeras. And in the heart of this maelstrom, heroes would rise, legends would be born, and the fate of Azeroth would hang by a thread, waiting to be woven anew in the tapestry of time. In the shadow of their own ambition, the Burning Legion's campaign reached a fever pitch, its tendrils of chaos stretching across the fabric of reality. As the twisting nether churned with feel energies, the Legion's forces swelled, an inexorable tide of destruction poised to consume the very essence of creation. It was here, in the crucible of cosmic conflict, that the true scale of the Legion's unyielding onslaught came into focus. With each world that fell under the Legion's shadow, the universe trembled. The once vibrant realms, teeming with life and potential, were reduced to smoldering husks, their inhabitants either consumed by the Legion's insatiable hunger or twisted into grotesque parodies of their former selves. The Legion's commanders, like Kil'jaeden and Archimonde, orchestrated the devastation with relentless precision, their strategic prowess rivaled only by their lust for power. It was a dark symphony composed of infernal machines and infernos, where the echoes of the fallen were drowned out by the roars of demonic war engines. Yet as the Legion advanced, so too did the embers of resistance. Across the cosmos, in hidden corners and forgotten lands, whispers of defiance grew into a chorus of rebellion. Champions rose from the ashes, their hearts burning with the light of hope, determined to defy the darkness threatening to engulf all they held dear. Among them were the Naru, beings of pure light, whose presence inspired courage and tenacity in the face of overwhelming odds. Their celestial melodies wove a tapestry of unity among those who dared to stand against the Legion's might. On the war-torn fields of countless battles, elemental spirits, wrought from the very essence of their worlds, stood as bastions of defiance. Their wrathful fury lashed out against the Legion's demonic hordes, each clash a testament to the indomitable spirit of life itself. The Legion's advance was stymied, if only for a moment, as these primal forces of nature unleashed their fury upon the invaders. In this tumultuous epoch, where worlds teetered on the brink of oblivion, the stage was set for the most significant confrontation the cosmos had ever witnessed. The burning Legion's relentless pursuit of dominion threatened to unravel the very threads of existence, yet amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope persisted. Resistance, though scattered and fragile, wove its way through the fabric of reality, a tapestry of determination against the ever-encroaching night. As the universe held its breath, the forces of light and darkness prepared for a cataclysmic clash that would determine the fate of countless worlds. The Burning Legion, a force of insidious power and unspeakable malevolence, surged forward like a tidal wave of annihilation, consuming everything in its path. Their ranks swelled with demonic entities drawn from the darkest corners of reality, each driven by a singular purpose: to see the universe remade in the image of their dark master. Yet hope was not entirely extinguished. The cosmos, vast and ancient, held secrets and allies yet unrevealed. Among the stars, the Naru, beings of pure light, moved with quiet purpose, their luminescent forms a beacon to those who would defy the Legion's tyranny. These celestial entities whispered to the hearts of the brave and the bold, igniting a spark of resistance in even the most desolate of places. On distant worlds untouched by the Legion's corruption, civilizations rallied to the call, with warriors and mystics alike preparing to stand against the encroaching darkness. From the shadows emerged forgotten heroes and long slumbering guardians, awakened by the threat of cosmic obliteration. Their resolve was unyielding, their commitment to defend the light unwavering. In the midst of this brewing storm, the ancient races of the universe, once scattered and divided, began to unite under common banners. They set aside their differences, for they knew that only through unity could they hope to withstand the Legion's onslaught. Across the realms, alliances were forged and ancient oaths were renewed, as the very essence of existence seemed to tremble in anticipation of the war to come. With the well of eternity on Azeroth serving as a nexus of power and conflict, the stage was set for a showdown that would echo through the ages. The planet bore witness to titanic struggles as arcane energies clashed and the air crackled with the fury of unleashed magic. The fate of Azeroth, and indeed the universe itself, teetered on the edge of a knife. Across the stars, the whispers of rebellion grew louder, bolstered by the defiance of those who would not yield to the Legion's might. The struggle was far from over, yet within the hearts of those who stood against the darkness burned an unquenchable fire, a testament to the indomitable spirit of life itself. This eternal war, a cosmic dance of light and shadow, would shape the destiny of all creation, as the forces of hope and despair clashed in a battle for the ages. As the universe awaited the final reckoning, the legacy of the Burning Legion's relentless pursuit would be etched into the annals of history, a constant reminder of the unyielding struggle between creation and annihilation.